Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's the Pictures podcast. This is episode number 219, and I'm your host, Max Colville. I'm joined, as always, by my co host, Evan Crean. Hi, Evan.
Hey Max, apparently we're both wearing video game t-shirts today. I see that you're wearing a Katamari shirt.
I am.
Very nice. And I'm wearing my Last of Us 2 t-shirt.
There you go. We are not celebrating Super Mario Galaxy's continued success. We just like video games.
Yep.
This week, we're actually going to talk about or do one of my favorite games of the year, which is our summer movie contest.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Perfect
fun
timing.
one.
Perfect timing for this. Where uh, this probably go up a few days before the start of May, when the summer movie season kicks into full swing with the early May release of like the Devil Wears Prada 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know that the summer season's something to look forward to. I was doing some research for this, Evan, and I noticed like there's a lot of movies that have the potential to make big box office.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was that kind of summer, like on paper, but just doing more research, that kind of screamed out to me.
Yeah. I always look forward to ones that no one's expecting to make money and just somehow do. Like I was thinking back to when we had Barbenheimer, where it's just
Hmm.
like both of them were just crushing it. And I think people knew they were gonna, make money, but I don't think they knew they were gonna make that much money.
Sure, and I mean we are in 2026, and people expected Mario to make money, but Project Hail Mary is certainly a exciting change of pace that a science fiction original IP would make that kind of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Too bad it's not in contention for one of us to snatch up.
But before we get into our summer movie contest, we have the latest news around the movie scene. And while some of this stuff is maybe a week old due to it happening or being announced during CinemaCon,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to share it here. Evan, have you ever like stayed like on the pulse of what goes on at CinemaCon?
Not particularly, but this year, I saw a lot of posting on social media regarding the new Spaceballs movie.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people posting videos of the cast and the crew doing stuff. So yeah, it's not typically on my radar, but this year I feel like I was seeing more and more of it.
Right, and that's one of the news things that we had to talk about, where like Mel Brooks had recorded another video sharing that he was changing the title of Spaceballs 2. It was no longer going to be The Search for More Money.
Yeah, that's right. It's called Spaceballs, the new one, right?
His reasoning was he kept on being asked, Mel, when are you going to make the new one?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it's perfect. And, you know, Mel Brooks is thankfully still with us and still making these films. And that alone just says so much of his humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that that's reflected in the final product of that movie.
Yeah, me too. I love Spaceballs. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Very quotable. It's funny when I went to visit my family today in Connecticut, I showed up and they were in the midst of quoting Spaceballs, and everyone in the family was kind of aunts and cousins were kind of firing quotes back and forth and talking about how funny they find the movie. So it's very topical. But yeah, I love it. I always kind of felt ambivalent about a sequel just because I was like, I don't know that I need a sequel. I always thought the idea of a sequel was funnier when they were like Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. Or when at one point I think they were going to call it Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2. Like that would have been funny. But yeah, I mean, now that they're making it, I'm happy. And seeing all the posts at CinemaCon, seeing Rick Moranis back out there, seeing, Daphne Zuniga as well, seeing the two of them together, everybody's seeming like they're having a really good time. And there was like a video I saw that was like Spaceballs the elevator, and it was just like this goofy video of all the cast like popping out of the elevator and like dancing and doing just like funny shit. So I'm on board with this. What about you?
Yeah, I was really happy to see Rick Moranis in a new film, and certainly he's had been filming a while. I think it's mostly because he, you know, gave this later years of his career over to his family.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I guess we had like a question for a long time here. It's the pictures where John and I were, well, co-host John Gilpatrick and I were talking about Rick Moranis, and we would always be like, "Where is he? What is he doing?" And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I sent him a picture on Instagram of Rick Moranis. He's like, "He's back." Yes, yes, he is. So yeah, you know, a lot of these like sequels, legacy sequels, is what they've been coined.
Mm-hmm.
it's like a chance to like see these actors once again in another role. And unfortunately, because we talked about John Candy quite a bit already this year, we won't see
Right.
John Candy, but I feel like the movie will bring a lot of these classic characters back and do them justice.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also just funny you have someone like, Bill Pullman has got a kid who's an actor now, and he's gonna play, his son in the movie, and like that's gonna probably be really funny.
Yeah, so CinemaCon, to go off with CinemaCon for the audience that doesn't know, I guess like it's like select journalists and mostly heads of AMC and Regal and
Mm-hmm.
these big cinema chains go out there and they get previews of all these big movies and they get to decide whether or not, how many screens they want to put them on and what have you. I don't know, like I don't know the minutia of it, Evan. Like I don't know, like if they see, I don't know, hit movie ABC and they're like, this one I only want to give 2,400 screens. Or like,
Yeah, I imagine the people in that business probably have those kinds of numbers like in their head and can like quickly pull the trigger on those type of decisions, either based on some prior experience or probably just some weird gut instinct that they have.
yeah, and like, I don't know, like, if some of these movies they're just gonna like ever say, I'll take a pass on, or if it's more just an excuse for all these people to get together and like look at what's ahead for them in the next year and a half.
Yeah, probably more like that. The chance to do some navel gazing. Unlike other events like the advertising upfronts, where, you have all the studios get together and show off their TV shows and talk with advertisers. And it's it's something they probably could do without having a conference about it, but they have fun and they turn it into a whole big thing.
Yeah, so during Paramount's victory lap, I guess they announced that Top Gun 3 is a go, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
they talked to Tom Cruise about it and have him on board. So, no, I don't think there's word of a director yet, where like the second one's director, I forget who actually did that one, but because it wasn't Christopher McCurry, right? It was,
No, it was Kaczynski
yeah,
did it.
and Top Gun 2 is widely seen as a great success, Top Gun Maverick. And I guess I
Shocking.
imagine it'd be hard to top that one, but when there's money involved,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then another thing, Evan, we were pretty excited about is outside of CinemaCon there was a trailer that finally saw the light of day. Did you see that?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch the Coyote versus Acme trailer, but I did see some really silly like viral marketing stuff, like a cease and desist letter from like Foghorn to like Foghorn Leghorn or something of Acme Corporation or something. It was pretty silly.
Yeah, so I guess like the studio Ketchup Entertainment has gotten the license to it, similar to like the other Looney Tunes movie that they released
Mm-hmm.
last year. And their marketing campaign is like the movie that Acme didn't want you to see.
Okay, that's great. That's a smart way to promote it. Did you see the trailer?
Yeah, I did, and I think it's pretty funny. It's about what I expected it to be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Wile E. Coyote has this like grudge against Acme because they always sell him faulty products to catch the Roadrunner, and he's gonna like take them to court and
Mm-hmm.
try to prosecute them.
Yeah, it's a brilliant premise for a movie. I know I've probably said that before on the show. Listeners are probably tired of hearing me say it, but I think it's really friggin' smart idea for a movie. So I'm very eager and excited to finally see.
Yeah, I think like John Cena is like the defendant for like Acme Corporation. So
That sounds amazing.
yeah, that should be good fun. I don't know what I expect to do. Talk about box office this week. I don't know what I expect its box office numbers to be. I think it's supposed to come out in August sometime, but like that's just an oddball because
Right.
because the Looney Tunes brand I feel always has some juice, but like
How much though?
yeah.
Like that's a really big question mark, especially if somebody, a corporation like Warner Brothers doesn't feel like it's profitable enough, and they're just like, I'll just shelve this freaking movie. Who cares?
I don't know, Evan. I mean, it goes back to Sony thinking that K-pop Demon Hunters wasn't going to be a hit and selling it to
Yeah.
Netflix.
Right. Yeah, no, I know there's a whole thing about that with the Avatar movie too, that, people got pissed off that they weren't going to release it in theaters and started pirating it.
Yeah, that was the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie recently leaked online. I guess Paramount decided that they weren't going to release it in theaters, and pirates took it into their hands to release
Mm-hmm.
it. But
Yeah.
that's neither here or there.
Nope.
But coming into tonight, Evan, we are just at the end of the big opening weekend of the Michael Jackson biopic, Michael.
Mm. Yep.
And even though it was slammed by critics, it has easily taken the crown for the biggest opening for a biopic ever. It opened almost to $100 million domestically over the first weekend,
Mm-hmm.
smashing the record that Street Outta Compton held at 60 million.
Damn.
It also, on Friday, it surpassed Oppenheimer's opening day gross,
Mm.
which is weird, right? To think of Oppenheimer as as like the biggest biopic ever before this.
Right. Yeah. It's like I almost forget that it's a biopic.
Right. But yeah, this is one of those movies where you kind of expected that it was going to be, I guess, critic proof. Some people like to say is like it didn't
Mm-hmm.
matter like how many people didn't like it or slammed it or how many good reasons there are not to see a Michael Jackson biopic.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't keep audiences away.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm not surprised. I didn't necessarily expect it to fall flat on his face because despite all of the, allegations against Michael Jackson as a, sexual abuser, like people still love his music and listen to it a lot and still revere him as a pop music icon. So I'm not surprised that people would want to go and see a movie about his life. I'm honestly surprised it took so long to make a movie about him. I mean, I imagine that some of the there were a lot of like legal things that they had to hoops they had to jump through to make this happen.
Yeah, so I know some of the background of this movie in general is like I think like 20 minutes of it near the end were supposed to start bringing up those sexual assault allegations, and they apparently couldn't get the rights to talk about it because
Mm.
there was some kind of like clause in the legal dispute, and so they had to like do really expensive reshoots on this
Hmm.
and to like just like close up the ending. And apparently, from what I've heard, it ends like during the bad tour, and
Yeah.
maybe for audiences who are taking family members, they're like, oh great, now I don't have to talk about all that messy stuff, and like
Yeah.
they feel better about taking their kids to see it. And
Mm.
I'm like, what a world we live in.
I know, right? Yeesh. But yeah, this is very surprising news that not only is it successful, it's extremely successful at the box office. And I imagine with a strong opening like that, it will continue to do some numbers over the following weeks. There's usually a big drop off after the first weekend, but often there's, staying power for something like this that comes out swinging.
Yeah, and like while I'm sure Lionsgate wants to pursue more of this, and like that apparently leave the title card like there's more to come. I'm like, if you cover up to bad in this movie, I'm like, sure, there's some good songs on like the Ever albums, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
quite the same level
Right.
of like Jackson's off the wall thriller bad like trifecta. It's like,
Right.
and you
And what are
get
you gonna do? Like, be like, oh, just take like a year in his life or a month in his life and make that a movie or something.
right, and I'm sure like many of these musical biopics, I didn't see this one, but of course I slammed the Springsteen one. A lot of them are like about daddy issues, and
Mm-hmm.
if anything, if this is anything like the MJ musical, which was part of my musical package like a year or two ago, so I did see that. It's basically like, oh, his father was abusive. That's led to a lot of his mental problems and what have you. And I'm like, great. We haven't heard that story in a biopic before.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Of course.
But yeah, it did a lot of money. And we'll see if there's a sequel. Or I do wonder, like, for me, my money's on whether or not the Beatles movies can surpass this.
But yeah. Good
And
point.
like,
And they're making like how many of them? 4 movies.
well, probably five, because each Beatles getting one movie, and then
Right.
like I think like maybe they'll do like an Avengers team up where they could come together.
Oh my goodness. Feels indulgent.
But yeah, I guess like maybe a Paul McCartney movie could surpass Michael Jackson.
You never know.
I don't know. That's my opinion of like most popular Beatle. I think like John Lennon is more interesting than Paul McCartney, but we'll see when those movies come out.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but that was the news. And now we get to our summer movie game, Evan. And
Hmm.
I think this is our third time with me and you trying to pick out movies, and our contest last year was a lot closer.
Yeah, didn't make any stupid picks like the first year.
I ended up pulling it out and about well, I guess I kept the total till about the middle of August because by
Hmm.
then I thought that my total was gonna be insurmountable. Yeah, I think we didn't pick any real losers. I mean, like Karate Kid could have done a little bit better.
Right.
I forget which one. I think we said it at the time. It was like Final Destination was like one of those movies where it was like it should have been a pick of ours because it did really well.
Right. Yeah, that was a surprise.
But
Yeah.
everything else kind of checked out okay, and no real big crash and burns.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because like I feel like our bottom performers, while they didn't do like amazing, also didn't like completely crash and burn, like you said. Oof, some tough choices this year though. As I'm looking at my short list of movies, like which ones do I pick?
Right, and so off the air, Evan and I used a coin flip website, and he selected tails. And I'm assuming you want to pick first. I mean, winning tails, you get to just decide whether or not you want to go first, or maybe you'd want to defer and pick picks 2 and 3. That's up to you.
Hmm. No, I think I'll go first. We'll see how that works out for me.
Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of fantastic movies this summer, and we're gonna get while we announce them, we're gonna talk a little bit about what they are and what our expectations are. Evan doesn't know that I've done this, but I set up a side article on the It's the Pictures newsletter where I make my own picks every year, just 1 through 10, because I don't have to compete with anybody. And I've made synopsis that once those selections are made, I'll bring them into our chat, Evan, and hopefully
Mm-hmm.
they'll help us talk about the films and where I got some of the comps for them.
Nice.
All right, so the way it works is Evan will make pick number 1. I'll make
Mm-hmm.
pick number 2 and 3. Evan will make picks 4 and 5, and we'll go back and forth like that.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Should I make my first pick, Max?
Sure.
All right. So my first pick is going to be The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Okay.
And I feel like Star Wars is a consistently strong performer at the box office, even, some of its lesser movies. But I feel like there's a lot of juice with Mando and Grogu because the TV show is such a hit. And so I'm like, okay, I feel like Star Wars, check. Popular Star Wars show, check. And it's feel like it's been a minute since we've had a new Star Wars movie, so like also check. Maybe people are antsy to show up to see a new Star Wars movie in the theater. That's kind of what I'm my inkling.
So what's the story with this one, Evan? I know it's based on a Disney Plus franchise, right? It's not
Yes,
exactly a new story that people don't know about.
correct. Yeah, I think it's building off of the adventures that Mando and Grogu have in the TV show The Mandalorian. But I think it's also kind of tying together some of the other stories or arcs or things like that have been from some of the TV series that are kind of in this period that's after the fall of the Empire, but before some of the events of the new trilogy of like J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, so I did a little thoughts on this one, and I kind of, in some ways, I agree with you that like it's a Star Wars movie. It's hard to bet against Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the comps that I thought was like not exactly if it's not like a main Star Wars chapter, those haven't
Mm-hmm.
really been shown to do killer business. I think like Rogue One did okay. I didn't have the numbers for that one, but of course, Solo, a Star Wars story, only made 84 million domestically and was seen as a disappointment. But again, that was led by like not Anton Yelchin. It was I forget
Alden
his name.
Ehrenreich, who I
Yeah,
feel like is not somebody you hang a movie on. I
right.
mean, like Mandalorian 2 has Grogu. Baby Yoda. Like people love Baby Yoda, and he's permeated popular culture since Mando came out, since Mandalorian like premiered. He's like on everything. You can get like T-shirts, cups, like everything has got Baby Yoda on it. So I'm kind of thinking that also having a much more like strong merchandise tie-in might rope people into seeing this who maybe wouldn't necessarily otherwise.
Yeah, right. And the movie also has Pedro Pascal, who's just about everywhere now,
Right.
and
He's a hot ticket.
Sigourney Weaver is also in the cast here. So not a bunch of unknowns, certainly. Evan, it was funny. I was talking to my wife Shannon, and I was like, "Do you think that Disney leaves money on the table by not calling this The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda?"
Yeah, I mean, if they were really concerned about SEO, they probably would call this Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. I feel like that'd be like an SEO hack there. Like, okay, Grogu not as commonly searched as Baby Yoda. Let's just switch out that title a little bit.
Right,
Let's
because
make
I
the
mean,
H1 tag. We'll keep the meta title Mandalorian and Grogu.
right, because it's like so many people still know him as Baby Yoda. I mean,
Right,
you can say his name's Grogu till you're blue in the face, but
right.
that's what how people will see him. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you're taking the Mandalorian and Grogu as number one. I will go ahead and plug that into the spreadsheet, and I guess I have picks two and three, which I feel very confident about.
Okay, let's hear him.
My pick for number two, which would have been my pick for number one, is Spider-Man: Brand New Day.
Good pick. Good
Um,
pick.
the comp is Spider-Man: No Way Home, which was one of the earliest pandemic success, like after pandemic success stories, which made like 814 million domestically, which is just wild.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this movie takes place 4 years later, where those who've seen the last one knows that he did some magic or thing. I don't remember what it
Right,
was.
to make everyone forget about him, basically, so that he could just be Spider-Man and not have his friends like having their lives risked the entire time.
Yeah, maybe it was something to do with Doctor Strange because I remember he.
Yep. Yeah, he made everybody forget Spider-Man or forget Peter Parker.
Yeah, but like I think that one had like extra juice in it because like it had all these extra like cameo. It was almost like its own like Spider-Man Avengers movie because it had like the old
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man and like old villains, where this one doesn't have that. But I still think that Tom Holland and Zendaya are you know top of the world bringing in box office. I think like this one has like Sadie Sink from Stranger Things now. She's
Mm-hmm.
included. I couldn't tell you who's the villain of this one,
Yep. No clue. Literally none.
but I think with the IP and I think this will be the biggest superhero movie of the year. Yes, Avengers Doomsday comes out in December, but that will be like 2 weeks in December. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. Makes
I
sense.
think
Good
that
pick.
Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Yep, July 31st. I think it will rule all of August and have plenty. Well, for our box office game, we'll see if that's enough money. I mean, we won't be able to count September, but uh, I don't know if that movie will need it. And then my number two pick was going to be, which would be pick number three, is Toy Story 5.
Another great pick.
Yep, Toy Story 4 made 434 million domestically. It's a franchise that still has a lot of juice. I don't know if it's funny, like Inside Out 2 made so much money, Evan. I was really shocked by that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if like that has like surpassed Toy Story as like Pixar's like gem franchise. I have a hard time thinking like Toy Story 5 still has the same like audience retention that that one does,
Mm-hmm.
especially after a poor outing with the Buzz Lightyear movie, right? They tried that spin-off, which was received very poorly.
Yeah.
But Disney needed another Toy Story movie. They need one like every 10 years. And they even brought Woody back for this one, according to the trailers.
Oh my goodness. I'm just shaking my head with this.
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw the trailer. I'm like,
No.
at least it makes sense. Like the idea is like the toys have to fight like a tablet, and I'm like, okay, well, in 2026, that's a fight between the take up kids' time between an iPad or toys. But
Yeah, it makes a kind of sense to me. I mean, as a sidebar discussion, we rewatched Toy Story with our daughter and started watching Toy Story 2, and we were realizing, Sean and I were just like, I don't think we like these movies very much. They're kind of morose and like downer premises. I'm just like, maybe I don't like Toy Story or the Toy Story movies very much. I know that I have zero interest in rewatching Toy Story 3 because that movie has like a scene that just destroyed me.
yeah, I think I've done rankings of these Toy Story movies before, and I probably think like one is equal to three, and then two, and then four is like at a distant bottom because like four is just
Yeah,
like not good.
not good. Like, not good at all.
But
But
we'll see.
smart picks.
Yeah, we'll see if Toy Story can continue that magic. Notably, Evan and I have picked all Disney movies to start off with.
Yep, that's true. Yep. Although I think I will deviate from that for my next pick. So I think my next pick will be Supergirl, and I mean it's another entry in the James Gunn DC verse. We know that his Superman performed well at the box office. I forget exactly how much it made. I think it took in few
I have
hundred
it.
million dollars.
Yeah, 354 million.
That's right. I thought 300 was in my head, but I was like, I don't want to say it and be wrong. But okay, so I was in the ballpark. So yeah, I feel pretty good that Supergirl kind of continuing the positive momentum that it seems James Gunn has with his DC verse. I feel pretty good that this is going to do well at the box office.
Yeah, part of my synopsis here was that this is, like Evan said, James Gunn's second entry in the DC universe in as many years. It's based off of Tom King's beloved comic series Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which I've tried to read a few chapters of here or there, and it's a very interesting story where it follows Supergirl, and she's like, I don't know if I remember correctly, if she's like on like a bender or something, and she ends up at this planet where this young woman has lost her family to these ruthless like assassins or something, and
Mm,
she gets in the middle of it, and like Crypto gets like seriously injured, and the only way to like save Crypto is to get like an antidote from these assassins, and so like she joins this like other woman to like try to find these enemies.
sounds fun.
Yeah, I kind of found a hard place to where to put this as far as like money goes and box office success. Like DC had like a big success with the first Wonder Woman film. I didn't look at the comps for Wonder Woman 2 because that was a pandemic era film, and I couldn't really like compare that. I guess like you could also look at something like on the low end, you had something like the Marvels, which is really Captain Marvel 2. For all intents and purposes, and that just kind of petered out and is one of the lowest grossing Marvel movies in the canon. So I don't know where this one really lies, and I don't know if like because like Evan, the money doesn't say like audiences hate women led superhero movies, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, they were successes.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't say like that is like just killer for this movie. They've started showing Jason Momoa as Lobo in this movie
Mm-hmm.
in the trailer, so like they get like another familiar face.
Jason Momoa returning to the DC world, but not playing Aquaman. Nice.
Right, yes. Still working for Warner Brothers. Okay, so you get the next pick as well.
Okay. All right. So let's see. This is the one that I'm kind of agonizing about, but I think I'm gonna go with Minions and Monsters since the Despicable Me and Minions movies seem to be moneymakers. I know the last strictly Minions movie made, I think, over $100 million. So it may not be like one of my strongest performers, but it might be a strong but steady one. That's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, do you know much about Minions and Monsters?
I saw a preview for it today because when I was visiting with family, they try to like put like kids TV on, when our daughter is around. So they like put on Nickelodeon, which was playing, I think, Despicable Me too. But I saw like a preview for it, but I wasn't paying the most attention to it. So I don't know a ton about like what the premise is, other than there are minions and monsters in the name.
That's a good start. Yeah, it says in the synopsis it was like how the minions conquered Hollywood, and from like some of the trailers I've seen of it, Evan, and I've seen the trailer like 2 or 3 times now. It looks like they're going around trying to
Hmm.
find like monsters to appear in these movies, and they fail, or at least that's what the trailers are showing. I think like
Hmm.
famously the first Despicable Me trailer showed like the minions just trying to like take a pyramid and like didn't show anything about the movie. So I always wonder with this franchise about what they choose to show.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think this is a really good pick for you. I think animation does really well in the summer. Families go out, and if they're not going to see Toy Story 5, they'll definitely be going to see Minions and Monsters.
Hmm.
The last time the Minions movies came to the screen was the Minions: The Rise of Gru movie that did 370 domestically, and they had this trend known as gentle minions. Did you see that? Where teens and stuff were dressing up in like suits to go see the Minions movies.
That's right. Yeah, I was misremembering which one was the last of the Minions movies. Oh my god, yeah, that was really funny that they were like, getting dressed up to go watch that movie in theaters. Oh my god. What a silly viral like trend.
So yeah, we'll see. It's so funny what happened with the Minions, Evan. Like that's almost like that. Like those characters are enough to fuel that entire like animation studio.
Mhm.
They don't need to make like Despicable Me movies anymore, or to like have Gru. It's just like throw some minions on a screen and make millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's true. I think it was the first Minions movie. I remember our friend movie Bob Chipman referred to it as shaking keys the movie. Just like, here kids, look at these shiny objects. And it kind of was true.
Yeah, I
But they
think
make
like
money.
yeah, I think I forget which one I watched like a home screener for, and like all I remember is like them using like classic rock music like during the movie, so like to make like parents feel like it's okay that
Oh
they're
my
watching.
god. Yeah, so many needle drops in maybe Rise of Gru. Maybe I did watch parts of that because I feel like it was on and I was like, "Oh my god, the music licensing in this alone must have been insane."
Right. And I'm like, please, I can't do any more of these. But funny enough, we went to go see Super Mario Galaxy, my daughter and my wife and I, and while we were there, out of all the trailers, she was like, I want to see the Minions and Monsters movie. I was like, swell.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the rule in marketing. You're not supposed to show the client the designs you don't like because those are the ones they're going to pick. You made the mistake of sitting through a trailer for a movie you didn't want to see because that's what your kid wants to see.
Okay, so I'll get the next two. I'll stick with Disney and I'll pick Moana the live action.
Yep, smart choice. That was on my list as well, a short list.
This one is, Moana, but live action.
Right. Yeah.
I think we've seen some trailers and they finally showed Dwayne Johnson reprising his role as Maui, and he just looks ridiculous.
I bet.
But I don't think families will care. They'll look at this, they'll say, well, we really liked Moana 2 that came out like a year ago. And this the one that says Moana, and like we know that story. Our kids will have fun. Let's go see it. And like that's what this is. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be longer than the original Moana. I don't know if it's going to have more songs, if Lin-Manuel Miranda's coming back to
Mm-hmm.
add a song or two. But like, yeah, they didn't have to do much here. And I think that's the way Disney likes it. Like me personally, Evan, I'm like, oh, it's too soon to have a live action Moana. Why pick this one? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, that's right. This one's really easy to remake and make a lot of money.
Right. I feel like we just barely had Moana too. I feel like you talked about going to see that with your kid on this show, and I'm like, wait, they're already doing a live action. It feels too soon.
Yeah, it does, but they don't care. I mean, like I think like we like they there was some hemming and hawing of whether or not they'd continue to make these live action remakes when like Snow White came out and bombed big time.
Yeah,
Then you had Lilo and Stitch come out and do really well. So
yeah.
I guess it just matters which one you're adapting, and maybe they maybe that's what they learned is like they couldn't go that far back. Like Lilo and Stitch isn't terribly old,
Mm-hmm.
and so they thought like that was a safe bet. And like one of their upcoming one is like a Tangled live action. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. So
That's true. Do love Tangled. I don't think Snow White's particularly good. Like, not the live action one. I just think the original Snow White's not that good. I think it's kind of overpraised. But yeah, I could see what you're saying. Like, there's a different strategy per se of like going back and doing something like that. One of the like classics versus one of the newer ones that probably has more of like a fan base.
yeah, all we need to do now is get like Frozen live action, right? That'd make it meant.
Oh my god. Please no. Please no, Disney. No.
Okay, so that's my third pick is Moana, and then for my fourth pick, I'm gonna take Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
Yeah, smart. Another smart one.
This one has coming off of Oppenheimer's domestic, critical, and monetary championness because it was an R-rated biopic that did monster numbers at 329 million. Certainly, that was helped by all the accolades it won, including Best Picture. Basically, gave Nolan a blank check. If you want to shout out the Ever Movie podcast I've listened to, Blank Check. They always go through these movies and say this director got a chance to make whatever they wanted, and
Mm,
that's certainly the case here. Nolan was probably like, I want to make a movie on the Odyssey, and this movie's going to cost a lot of money, and they're probably like, yeah, all right, go for it. So it has a monumental cast,
yeah.
but at its center it has Matt Damon as the lead, and I think people will go for the spectacle. I read that since IMAX loves working with Christopher Nolan and vice versa, it has like an exclusive 4-week run on the IMAX screens where like they won't be subbed out for any of her movies, so it will get that big large format money, which will certainly help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so outside of just being like a film based on the Odyssey, I think like people will come out for the spectacle of it. We'll be
Right.
like, yeah, let's go see what this movie looks like in IMAX. I don't know, Evan. Like, I really love Oppenheimer. I think it's great,
Mm-hmm.
but I still don't want to say like the Odyssey is going to be amazing just because that was good. Because like I still don't like Tenet and like Dunkirk. I was like okay, but like we'll see if the Odyssey. I guess it doesn't matter for if it's a good movie or not if it makes money, right? So, Minions and Monsters,
That's
my
all you
favorite
need.
movie.
That's all you need to
Uh,
rake in the do re mi. Yeah, it's funny. I hear you. I feel like you're saying you thought Dunkirk was all right, and what was the other one that you were like?
Tenet was awful.
Tenet.
Yeah,
I loved Tenet and I loved Dunkirk, but I was
yeah.
just like about Oppenheimer.
Okay.
So it's funny.
So you get your last two picks.
Okay, my last two. This is a toughie. I've been agonizing over these in particular. I think I'm gonna go with Disclosure Day,
Mm-hmm.
which, the new Steven Spielberg movie that's coming out this year. We talked about this sci-fi thriller alien invasion movie. We've seen Steven Spielberg do sci-fi before many a time. We know he can do big budget spectacle. It's Spielberg, like people just show up to see his movies. So I feel he's like a fairly safe bet. The movie has also a pretty stacked cast with Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Eve Hewson, Coleman Domingo, Colin Firth, White Russell, among others. So I feel like I'm hoping it's a fairly safe bet, and it does extremely well at the box office.
Yeah, like Evan, if you think about it, Spielberg used to be the guy who would like rule the summer, right? Because like
Yeah.
movies like Jurassic Park and E.T., like these movies would just dominate the entire run. I hope that this is good. I mean, I like Emily
Mm-hmm.
Blunt and Josh O'Connor, but like I wonder if the youth like
The
them,
Utes.
or yeah, or Spielberg still has like that pull over like the young crowd who would come out for a movie like this, where you and I can see it and say, "Oh, this is awesome. He's doing science fiction like E.T. and Close Encounters," and like
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like a really good time. But I wonder how many ever people will feel that way.
Yeah. We
I
will
think
see.
his last, like Spielberg's last big box office success was probably what was probably Ready Player One, because like that was like a blockbuster type film.
Yeah, it might have been. Because yeah, he hasn't really done like a big movie in a while, right? Like that kind of
He,
scale.
yeah, he had the Fablemans, which was a really small like personal project about his life.
Right. West Side Story, which I also the Post. Like he's had some, ones on either side of Ready Player One that have been like more of like the smaller stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I'm agonizing over this last pick. I'm like, oh god, what should I do here? What is another strong contender? I may regret this choice, but I think for my last pick, I'm going to go with Devil Wears Prada 2.
Okay.
The first one made 124 million, I think, domestically, if I'm remembering what I wrote down there. But there's a lot of momentum right now in terms of like people are amped up to see it. Return to a beloved movie from gosh friggin' 20 years ago. And yeah, I mean, I feel like in the time that it's come out, it's developed such like a strong cult following among people, and so I feel like that to me signals potentially a very strong box office performance.
Yeah, so the good news is, Evan, we picked all 10 films, including the one I'm gonna pick next from my list that I put together. So we have picked movies that I personally champion throughout the summer season. The Devil Wears Prada 2, I actually had it higher on my list before this morning when I found out
Mm-hmm.
that Michael Jackson's biopic made $100 million, because I'm like, that might eat into Devil Wears Prada 2's opening weekend.
Mm,
Um,
fair enough.
because I'm like, I think there's some kind of audience overlap with that, with families and what have you.
Yeah.
And why you say Devil Wears Prada 2 has a cult audience, the comp is terrible, right? Because like the movie's 20 years old.
Right. Yeah. It's not exactly like easy to compare against.
Is like, who's the selling point for, again, like for the younger generation, right? It's like, is Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt
Mm-hmm.
still what they're come out for? Because like, yeah, me and you have to do a Meryl Streep episode. Yeah, we'll come out for Meryl Streep, but I don't know how many other
Right.
people are.
Yep. It was an agonizing one. I'm like,
Like
this could be a good pick, could be a bad pick. I don't know.
I think like, so let's say millennials and like up. I think you'd still get like the baby boomers wanting to come out for this one because you have Meryl Streep and you have they're familiar with these characters, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
you'll get that audience too. But then again, I thought that was the audience for Michael, so I don't. We'll see. I don't know what to expect from Devil Wears Prada 2. I know you're supposed to see it very soon,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see. I think it'll be fun. I think people want to see a movie like this. It's like maybe I'd take my wife to see it. It's like, why not, right? It's a
Yeah.
good time of the movies probably.
Exactly.
So for my last pick, I'm picking Mortal Kombat 2. This movie was supposed to come out in October of 2025, but when
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers dropped the Red Band trailer, it had over 125 million views, and that made them say, "What are we doing here? We need to move this to summer." So they delayed the movie by like 8 months and positioned it in summer. This one, from the trailers, is promising more of what people expect from Mortal Kombat. This
Yeah.
one has a
Actual
tournament.
combat.
This one has a tournament. This one has Johnny Cage.
Yeah. Fucking
Those
Carl
are the type of
Urban.
things.
Like hell yes.
Yeah. People, that's what people want to see about Mortal Kombat, and yeah, I think there's definitely an audience for it, and the comp I pulled up was the first Mortal Kombat of this era, which was the one we were talking about. And even though that was like a dual release on like HBO
Mm-hmm.
Max and in theaters, it still made 84 million, which is pretty impressive. That like people,
Right. Like a COVID era movie that probably wouldn't have made much otherwise.
yeah. So yeah, Mortal Kombat 2 is my final pick. Evan, I didn't go ahead, like some of the ones that like I saw on like Fandango's most anticipated were like horror movies like Scary Movie 6 or Insidious 6, and I'm like, I'm not touching those. I have no idea.
Yeah. I was looking at so a couple of the ones that now that we've picked that were I was kind of not sure about. Scary Movie 6 was one of them because like 5 made I think I don't know, it's like it's 78 million worldwide. So it's like and that was like, in 2013. And I feel like there's been a lot more fun horror movies to like parody. So like it could maybe do well, but I was like not confident. And another one that was kind of circling for me was Jackass 5 because I'm like, that also is a thing that people still go see. But I was like, is it going to be strong enough? You know?
Oh, yeah, I see that now. I didn't see it on the list originally because it was an untitled event film, but I think like during CinemaCon they were saying, "Oh yeah, this is." I think it's like Best in Final is the name or something.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think I saw like the first Jackass in theaters, but I hadn't been. Maybe no, maybe I saw the fourth one because I knew like it was something that how you had to see in theaters because these
Hmm.
movies are ridiculous.
Yeah. I saw the third one because I think they did that one in 3D because it was Jackass 3D. I definitely remember seeing that movie theater and like some 3D dildo like flying across the screen and hitting somebody in the face.
Yeah, and then like I don't know, like anything in August. August is always tough, Evan. Like
Yeah.
maybe the like August 28th weekend might be good for some of these movies because like it leads into September. Like I think like
Right.
It Chapter 1 did something like that once and it ended up making good box office, but that wouldn't really necessarily help our game, I guess.
No.
Because you that final weekend you have The Dog Stars, which just had a trailer, and that's a Ridley Scott film of
Hmm.
Jacob Elordi, I think, is the lead, and Coyote versus Acme, which we've talked about, and a cliffhanger remake. So
Yeah, big question marks on whether any of those will perform at the box office, and not ones that probably make sense for us to take the roll the dice on.
yeah, I know like these Paw Patrol movies make enough money to like get sequels. Yeah, the last one made 65 million, so I guess if you were looking for like a late selection, maybe that would have been
Yeah,
that's a bit better than Karate Kid last year.
right. Yeah, I wasn't super confident in that one either, although it was one I considered when I was thinking about ones to pick for this.
Masters of the Universe is also on my like maybe honorable mentions because like I have no idea about that one either.
Yeah, that's also like, are people actually going to show up for that, or is it the kind of thing where like it has some, nostalgia, but does it have enough nostalgia to get butts and seats?
Yeah, it looks very silly toy movie from the trailers I've seen.
Hmm.
All right, so yeah, that's our summer box office game. To go over the selections once again, Evan selected Mandalorian and Grogu, Supergirl, Minions and Monsters, Disclosure Day, and The Devil Wears Prada 2. I
Hmm.
selected Spider-Man, Brand New Day, Toy Story 5, Moana, The Odyssey, and Mortal Kombat 2.
All really excellent choices. I think you're probably going to end up winning this. I'm not feeling I feel like I made good choices, but I feel like you made better choices.
Well, it's all about the orders, right? Like that's how we selected them. Like if I was to do our list over again, I would have had to say like Spider-Man and Toy Story 5 had to be 1 and 2. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that was a mistake on my part not picking Spider-Man right out the gate. That was dumb.
those are my picks for the two biggest movies of the summer, so I was happy to pick them up there. But we'll continue the game throughout the summer and share the domestic box office numbers as they come up, and keep people attuned to the game. And it gives us an opportunity to talk to them, talk about these movies, and have some interest in them outside of the just coming out on the calendar.
Mhm. Yeah, looking forward to checking in and giving updates to see where we're at.
So yeah, if you have your own picks for the summer box office game, if you think, I don't know, the Odyssey is gonna rule the summer, you can let us know. As always, you can contact us at itsthepictures@gmail.com. You can
Mhm.
reach out to us on Blue Sky. Just search It's the Pictures. Instagram, you search It's the Pictures, It's the Pick Pod. We have a letterboxed account. You can search for us there. Or you could just reach out to me, really, on Blue Sky. I'm available there at maxcolville.com or at mhcolville. Um, just search my name, Max Colville, or you can find what I'm watching at Letterbox. I keep it updated pretty much up to the day.
Mhm.
I have. It's been updated with my IFF Boston movies, Evan, that I told you about off air that I've seen during the festival, and I'll be talking about some of that shortly. Where can I find you?
Yeah, so I'm on social media as Real Recon. That's real as in film real. Although I'd just be the first to admit I'm not doing a lot of updating there. You probably, if you follow me on Letterboxd, it's the same handle. You'll see that I'm at least updating movies there. So that's an active presence on social media. But I'm also over every week at Spoiler Piece Theater, the weekly film review podcast with Dave Riedel. So you can check me out there too.
What movies have you reviewed lately over there?
Ooh, what have we reviewed lately? This past week, we reviewed Fuse, which I was going to give a shout out to and what we've been watching. We also saw Outcome, the Jonah Hill movie. That was a recent episode.
Yeah, with Keanu Reeves that I
Yep.
had asked you off air if you'd seen that.
Yeah. It's not, spoiler, not good. Keanu Reeves, excellent. Movie, terrible. So yeah, those are a couple of the recent reviews.
Okay, so let's plug the newsletter on the newsletter. It's the pictures. You can continue your adventures with the podcast and newsletter combined, where I did a preview of the films showing at IFF Boston, which by the time you hear this will be concluding. I've also done a review of the movie I Love Boosters, which I will be talking about shortly. And probably by the time you hear this, you'll be able to find my thoughts of the summer box office and how I think the movies will play out over the summer, and synopsis and trailers, so you can check those all out heading into the big summer season. All right, Evan, why don't you take a moment and talk about what you've been watching?
Sure. So like I said, I saw the movie Fuse, which is the new David Mackenzie action movie, the guy who did Relay and Hell or High Water. This one it's a fun premise. Basically, in London, there's a construction site where they find a old World War II bomb, and so everyone is like, "Oh crap, we got to evacuate the neighborhood and get everybody out of here because this thing can go off." In the meantime, there's uh, a heist that happens in the middle of this whole situation. So it's got Aaron Taylor Johnson. He plays like the military guy who's coming in to help with like defusing the bomb, and then you've got Theo James and Sam Worthington are part of like the heist crew. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's in places kind of goofy, but it's a lot of fun. I think it's tense, it's well paced, and I think if you liked, David Mackenzie's other films, you will enjoy this one. I feel like I really, really liked it a lot until like the kind of like last, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and it made a couple of choices that just left me scratching my head narratively. Like, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. But I had fun. It was a really good time, and I was glad that I watched it.
Cool. And how did you watch that one? Is that streaming anywhere?
That's going to be I believe it's in theaters now as of us dropping this episode. And then, yeah, I think at some point it'll probably like be on demand. But yeah, it'll be in theaters. Yeah. And then I've been with our daughter. I think I've mentioned this before. We've been kind of going through watching Disney movies. So I'm coming across a lot of Disney movies, a lot of which I've seen and others I haven't. But I did finally watch The Princess and the Frog for the first time and also really enjoyed it. And I loved like the music. I love like the New Orleans setting. I love the voice acting in it, like particularly Keith David as like the evil like voodoo guy was like such a smart choice. He's so good in it. I love that there's like a kooky, firefly. There's an alligator who wants to be a jazz musician. I think these are all like really funny bits. The blind voodoo woman and all of her musical numbers, like the songs I thought were really
Mama
excellent.
Odie, right?
Mama Odie. Yeah, I thought that the songs, the art direction, the voice acting, all of it was just it really impressed me, and I had such a blast watching it. That I was like, damn, I wish I had seen The Princess and the Frog earlier.
Yeah, I like this movie too. I think like my favorite song in the movie is Tiana's "I Wish" song, which is early in
Mm,
the movie, and she's
yeah.
talking about opening her beignet shop. That's my favorite song. I think like maybe the songs aren't as strong as like some of the other movies of the era, like with Tangled and Frozen, but like they certainly have their place. But yeah, I like the cast of characters. I like Prince Naveen that like is
Mm-hmm.
with her the whole time. I like that her best friend really feels like like an okay person, and she's not like really awful.
Right.
Because if you're not familiar, the Prince of the Frog, like the lead Tiana, like kind of like works at the residence of this woman she's from a well-to-do family, but it's not they see each other as like almost like sisters and best friends rather than like
Yeah, they grow up together and they're friends, and it was like her mom worked for the girl's dad, like making dresses for her. And now that they're like adults, like Tiana is like off toiling away at like multiple restaurant jobs trying to save up money for her store. And she's still friendly with this girl who's like rich, but yeah, they have a nice relationship. It's not like there's no animosity there. Although I do sometimes wonder, I'm like, with all your money, you could just help Tiana buy a restaurant, right?
but yeah, no, it's a fun movie, and yeah, I would also recommend it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Evan,
It's here.
I know like sometimes you watch these Netflix movies, and I haven't watched it yet. Like I saw like that Charlize Theron Apex movie, and I'm like, that's kind of like a popcorn movie that I could see myself throwing on, and I don't really do that.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see it. I have not seen it yet, unfortunately, so I can't give you like a quick review or anything, but I also really want to see it because it does look fun. And I like Charlize Theron, and also Taron Egerton is in it, and I enjoy him quite a bit. So I think I'm definitely planning to check that out in the not too distant future. So if you get to it first, let me know. If I get to it first, I'll let you know.
Yeah, just I don't know how many people have seen trailers for it, but it just came out on Netflix over the weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have like the best reviews in the world, but like even like a 66 for like a thriller, these two stars, I'd be like, yeah, I'd watch that for an hour and a half.
Totally.
Um, maybe I'll be watching Apex in my future. I didn't get to see Mother Mary yet, which is the David Lowery movie that came out over the weekend, which has been on like my most anticipated movies for like the past like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen like the tomato meter recently, but I think like from what I was kind of seeing in the ether was like it was kind of more mixed. That won't stop me. I have a ticket for Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
after IFF Boston, so hopefully during the next episode I'll be talking about it. Um, Speaking about IFF Boston, I've seen some movies already. I'm seeing Power Ballad tomorrow night, which I told Evan about off air. It's like the new movie from John Carney, who did Sing Street and Once. So that's one that I was really excited to see. So I'll go check that out. I think one of the bigger ones that they're showing that I'm not going to, which is on Wednesday, is like The Invite, and that's like Olivia Wilde's new movie. There's a trailer for it, and
Right.
it's a remake, which it's a fascinating premise, um, where I guess like Olivia Wilde and Seth Rogen are an unhappy married couple, and they get invited by like I think it's like Penelope Cruz and like Edward Norton to like participate in like an orgy or like a swingers thing, where they switch partners.
I see.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just like kind of messiness that goes on with that. I'll see it eventually. I'll talk about what I have seen, and
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about it a few times on the podcast now, which is Boots Riley's I Love Boosters. Boots Riley was there in person. He was actually sitting like 2 rows in back of me.
With a giant hat from what I saw from the photos.
Yes. He took off the hat during the screening.
I think that's fair. That's a pretty comically large hat that would be blocking people behind him.
Yeah. Um, So yeah, he shared his new movie. The movie had pretty good reviews coming out by South by Southwest, and the idea is that a group of women led by like Kiki Palmer like to boost or steal clothing from this big clothing empire, which is
Mm-hmm.
run by Demi Moore's character in the movie.
Okay.
They kind of like take it upon themselves to steal from her and try to sell it, but eventually it becomes a little bit more than just making money. It becomes a personal vendetta, and it has like extra things come into it where they have like a side story where they show Chinese workers working on the clothing and like how one of them like teleports to where the other women are because of this MacGuffin that can they can teleport with it.
Okay.
Yeah, the film is just really messy, Evan.
Mm.
which is, I guess, not surprising because that's how I felt about Sorry to Bother You, which also got really good reviews. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
maybe he's just not for me. Like he makes these really strong statements. I didn't know much about Boots Riley as a person. Even going to see I Love Boosters, I did a little research afterwards. He's like very loud activist, and he was in a rap group in the '90s, and
Mm-hmm.
he wears his heritage on his sleeve. And this movie is about like really workers' rights and like how people can rise against like these big companies, but like it just takes a long time to get there and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
asides. So I wasn't really wild about I Love Boosters, but I think it's getting like a wide release by Neon opposite The Mandalorian and Grogu. So it's not really a movie in position to make a lot of money. It's just gonna come out.
Fair enough.
The other one I saw is the new documentary from Jeremy Workman, who did Secret Mall Apartment, which I have a personal relationship to because it's a mall, Providence Place Mall, that's in Rhode Island. I'm in Rhode Island, so I was very familiar with that topic. So I was looking forward to see what his next work was. It's wildly different. It's called School for Defectors, and it's about um, children of North Korean defectors who have made a home for themselves in South Korea, and how these children kind of navigate the world and get their education, and how like there's these schools that kind of help them excel in like difficult situations. And like I thought it was pretty interesting with the kids and hearing their stories, but sure enough, there takes a turn where they're talking to the parents, and the parents, for their protection, their faces are blurred, and they're telling their very
Mm-hmm.
difficult stories about how they left North Korea and like how difficult it was. I'm like, yeah, I know that stuff is important, but I'm also like, there's other movies that have done that stuff. I remember like
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't look up the name before talking about this, but like I saw a movie where like they actually had footage of a family getting away and like
Mm-hmm.
leaving North Korea, and I thought like that was really riveting.
Hmm. Okay.
That's like a whole documentary on the topic. I think like I do often find like this idea of North and South and how different North Korea is than South Korea. I just find that personally interesting. I don't know if everybody does, but I liked this. It's definitely a change of pace from Secret Mall Apartment. This is School for Defectors by Jeremy Workman.
It sounds like a good premise for a documentary, honestly. Yeah, it sounds very different. So it's nice to see documentarians kind of branch out into different subject areas, and see how they approach it differently from a narrative perspective.
Yeah, and he said he was working on it just like last year. So he was like, oh, maybe I was showing Secret Mall Apartment in the States, and then I was taking a plane back to South Korea to film more of this movie. So,
Cool.
but yeah, I think IFF Boston has been doing well. I didn't spend too much time there, but again, I'm looking forward to seeing one more film there, and um, it's always a nice time, and it's a great local festival that kind of highlights some of the great movie houses in Boston.
Yeah, it's an excellent festival. So listeners, don't let me not being there this year because I haven't covered it in a couple of years, but it is very very fun and it's great. So if you're thinking about checking it out, you should. And even if you just go and see like one movie, it's definitely worth the experience.
All right. I think that will just about do it for Evan and I this week. Hope you enjoyed the summer movie preview. When we come back, we'll be in May and we'll be in the summer movies. We'll hopefully have some great content for you over the summer. And Evan, we haven't had some guests on here lately. Maybe I'll look into that.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have somebody on, mix it up a little bit.
Alrighty. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks. See you next time.